Alexander and Evelyn had always been close, despite the 4-year gap between them. Growing up in the rolling hills of Scotland, they shared an adventurous spirit and an unquenchable thirst for exploring the unknown. Evelyn, with her warm smile and fiery red hair, was the dreamer, filled with a gentle wisdom that belied her 20 years. Alexander, on the other hand, was the protector, his green eyes holding a spark of untamed curiosity. He'd always felt a strong need to watch over his younger sister, especially in the aftermath of her devastating breakup. 5 years in love, only to end up alone and heartbroken. The plan was simple. They would travel to Peru, a vibrant land full of mystery and culture, to help Evelyn heal. In the city of Cusco, they roamed narrow cobblestone streets, marveling at the blending of Incan and Spanish architecture. They visited the bustling market of San Pedro, gorging themselves on choclo con queso and lomo saltado. In the sacred valley, they gazed at the majestic Incan ruins of Pisac and Ollantaytambo, feeling a sense of awe for a civilization long past. Machu Picchu was an emotional crescendo. As they stood above the ancient city nestled in the cloud forest, Evelyn had cried, whispering about how much beauty there was left in the world. Alexander held her then, promising that this was just the beginning of their adventure. In Lima, they met Nicholas and Chloe, a jovial couple from Spain. Over rounds of pisco sours, they spoke of their plans to hike through the Andes. Nicholas, a burly man with a booming laugh, told tales of their travels. Chloe, petite with sparkling eyes, chimed in with humorous anecdotes. Finding kindred spirits in the couple, they agreed to hike together. Mikos was a man of the mountains, introduced to them by a fellow traveler. He had a calming presence, his eyes reflecting years of wisdom and serenity. He was a wanderer, having lived in the Andean mountains for years. Despite his advanced age, he had the vitality of a man half his age and possessed a thorough understanding of the mountain's terrain and weather patterns. With Mikos as their guide, the group set off, anticipating the thrill of the breathtaking Andes. The first leg of their journey was filled with laughter and camaraderie. They trekked through misty landscapes, taking breaks to enjoy their packed lunches and share stories. The day was tiring but fulfilling, ending in a campfire-lit evening, filled with songs and marshmallows. As night fell and the first chill of the Andean cold crept in, they all retreated into their tents. The mountains echoed with their cheerful goodnights, unaware of the horror that was about to unfold. They had set the stage for their adventure. Oblivious to the stories that clung to the Andean shadows, where whispers of the Pishtaco breathed through the chilly mountain air, they were ready for an adventure that promised joy and unforgettable memories, unaware of the twists and turns their journey would take in this vast, mysterious wilderness. The first rays of sunlight found the group emerging from their tents, eager to embark on the day's journey. Mikos led the way, his deep voice resonating through the tranquil landscape as he shared stories of the Andes' ancient history, of brave Incan warriors and mysterious deities. Evelyn and Alexander listened, captivated, as the wilderness around them seemed to pulsate with the rhythms of the past. Their journey led them through lush meadows sprinkled with wildflowers, where the air smelled sweetly of honey and dew. They followed mountain streams that babbled over smooth stones, their icy waters pure and invigorating. Majestic condors soared above, their grand wings casting momentary shadows on the terrain. Every sight and sound seemed to echo with an otherworldly beauty that awed them to silence. Amid the breathtaking landscape, there was a sense of being part of something far greater, a feeling of insignificance and reverence. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with hues of gold and purple, they set up camp near a clear stream. After a meal of canned soup and crackers, they retreated into their tents, fatigue quickly lulling them into sleep. Yet the peaceful slumber was short-lived. The night was punctuated by eerie sounds that seeped into their dreams, jarring them awake. The noises were strange, an unsettling blend of whispers and soft wails that seemed to float in on the cold mountain breeze. The siblings huddled together in their tent, their hearts pounding in the disturbing quiet that followed each noise. They thought of Mikos's warning to never venture out after dark, and it lent an air of danger to their fear. As dawn finally broke, the sounds faded into silence, leaving them to question if it had been a nightmare or a chilling reality. When morning came, the siblings found that Nicholas and Chloe's tent was empty. Their belongings were gone, as if they'd never been a part of the journey. It was a disquieting scene that deepened the unease instilled by the night's strange occurrences. Where had the Spanish couple gone? They turned to Mikos, their eyes filled with apprehension. Mikos, ever the calm in a storm, simply explained that Chloe hadn't taken well to the harsh conditions of the Andean wilderness. He'd led them back down in the early hours, ensuring their safe return. Though a part of them questioned the abrupt departure, they chose to believe in Mikos. His words eased their troubled minds, and they pressed on, the Spanish couple's laughter lingering in their memory. As they ventured deeper into the Andes, the siblings clung to the beauty around them, trying to dispel the shadows of unease with the warmth of the sun and the comfort of each other's presence. Little did they know that the mountains held more than just beauty. They also held secrets, whispered in the wind, waiting for the night to fall once more. The day was filled with hiking up steep trails, winding their way around the emerald-green landscape. Alexander noticed the growing concern on Evelyn's face, mirroring his own feelings. The disappearance of Nicholas and Chloe was unsettling, but they chose to trust Mikos, putting faith in the man who knew these mountains better than anyone else. As they trekked, they noticed more peculiarities. A mist rolled in, obscuring their paths and making the journey increasingly challenging. Animal calls filled the air, but with an odd, distorted sound, not the natural noises they had grown used to. With each step deeper into the wilderness, their unease grew, the strangeness of their surroundings igniting their instincts of danger. Every rustling leaf, every breaking twig, and the hushed whispers of the wind seemed to hold a hidden warning. They began to see the majestic beauty of the Andes in a different light. It was now cloaked with an aura of an uncanny, unspoken fear. On their final evening, the haunting noises returned, louder, more desperate. The once comforting darkness of the Andean night now held an element of terror. The whispers in the wind sounded like pained cries, the shadowy mountainside taking on menacing shapes in the moonlight. Evelyn clung to Alexander, her body shaking with cold and fear. Alexander, despite his attempt to remain brave, felt a chilling dread creeping into his heart. Mikos, who had always been a beacon of calm, seemed distant and preoccupied. His usual stories were absent that evening, replaced by an uncomfortable silence that echoed the mountain's eerie quiet. The night grew darker, the blackness of the sky swallowing up the last vestiges of daylight. The mountains stood as silent sentinels, shrouded in the thickening mist, their slopes bathed in an eerie silver glow from the crescent moon. The once comforting isolation had morphed into a claustrophobic sense of entrapment. Suddenly, the flap of their tent was thrust open, the suddenness of the act making Evelyn scream and Alexander bolt upright. The silhouette of Mikos, the man they had trusted with their lives, loomed in the entrance, a dark figure against the ethereal glow of the night. His usually kind eyes were now hidden in shadow, giving him an unfamiliar, threatening aura. In his hands he held a blade that gleamed wickedly in the dim light, its steel edge reflecting the coldness of the moon. Its cruel sharpness promised a quick end, but the dread in their hearts made each second stretch into an eternity. Their initial shock turned into terrified understanding as Mikos advanced. The whispered legends of the Andean villagers came rushing back. The Pishtaco, the monstrous creature that preyed on human fat. Alexander and Evelyn's terror escalated as they realized the horrifying truth. Mikos was not a man, but the embodiment of the dreaded Pishtaco. He towered over them, the blade in his hand coming down in an arc that gleamed in the ghostly moonlight. Their screams were muffled by the roar of the wind, the mountain itself seeming to participate in this gruesome ritual. Their lives were not taken in a mercifully quick flash of pain. Instead, Mikos moved with an agonizing slowness, a sadistic precision that was far more terror-inducing. The scent of their fear filled the tent, a metallic taste lingering in the air as the blade sliced through skin and fat. Each cut was deliberate, each slice a ritual in extracting the fat, an act that spoke of centuries-old tradition and unyielding hunger. The grotesque squelching sounds, the soft sighs from Mikos as he conducted his horrific harvest, became the dreadful symphony of their last moments. As the siblings' life forces ebbed away, their blood mixing with the cold Andean soil, the mountains echoed with the triumph of the Pishtaco. His hunger sated for the night, he would blend back into the wilderness, the guide Mikos once again, waiting for the next set of unsuspecting hikers to venture into his domain.